a big lot of miniature buildings there, and it means that it's time to update my master plan. There hasn't been much point for me to think about the future expansion of my Lego town, as the space that I have allocated to it has already been filled. There simply isn't any more room on top of this IKEA Galaxy shelf. Though, of course, I can place modular buildings inside these glass cabinets too. But I have been taking my Lego collection to Lego events for a couple of years now, and there the space really isn't an issue. There I can easily add more buildings to my Lego town, as you can see from this clip. Though I have started to think that this layout starts to look quite wide. Perhaps I should utilize that depth more. Now my current Lego town is 1.5 base plates deep, as that is what can fit on top of the Galaxy shelf. But those tables in the Lego events are a little more than 2.5 base plates deep, so I could add one more layer of depth to my Lego town. So, time to think what buildings would I add to my collection in the future and how would I display those in Lego events. Time to do some tests with the miniature buildings. And here you can see a miniature version of my current Lego town. Here is the police station, hotel, the apartment building from the bookshop, town hall, bookshop, European Jazz Cafe, and the assembly square. Let's increase the depth by 1 base plate. That would mean that I could add some buildings here and push all the buildings forwards. Well, not the town hall, but every other building. And the layout would look like this. I would also get 2 additional base plates for my town square here at the center. With actual buildings, it would look something like this. I think this could work. Perhaps not with these specific buildings. Well, the jazz club could work there. But I think that something smaller than this police station is needed on this side. And of course I would have to rework these street extensions too. But I could see this working, especially if I can find the correct buildings to be added here. One such building could be the Parisian restaurant. I just think that this building is very beautiful looking and it has quite a unique shape to it. That unique shape also means that it is quite a bit different than any other modular building and therefore somewhat difficult to place. But this could work if it's placed next to some other small buildings. Like perhaps that apartment building from the bookshop set. I think the Parisian restaurant might work well there as a next building down that street. Of course, the Parisian restaurant has been out of production for a while, so it will be a bit pricier to acquire. But perhaps one out of production modular building is not going to be that big of an issue. So let's add that one into the layout plan. So currently this building with blue roof represents the Parisian restaurant in my plan. The additional building on the other side is currently the jazz club, but I'm not sure if it's gonna be that one eventually, because the European Jazz Cafe is there in the corner already. So perhaps 2 jazz-themed buildings next to each other is not the best idea. Next, I think that we need to add 2 corner buildings. One next to the assembly square on this side, and one next to the police station on this side. Now I have always felt that the assembly square looks incomplete regardless of the building that you place next to it. I really think that there should be a mirror tower on the other side of that building too. Therefore, I have decided to design a custom corner building that would add the missing tower there next to the assembly square. Now, externally, it would look that the tower is part of the assembly square, but as I'm not going to make any modifications to the original assembly square, there wouldn't be an inside access to that additional tower part. But I could design the additional corner building so that it is connected to that tower from inside. And here I have placed a miniature version of that custom corner building in my layout plan. And next, you have to think about this other corner here. Now, there are two modular buildings currently in production that I do not own, and one of those is a corner building. Of course, I am talking about the Tudor corner here. And this is just jaw-droppingly beautiful. At least on its own. The problem with this building is that it's quite different from anything else that we currently have in the modular range, so it might be a bit difficult to place this next to other buildings. But I am in need of a corner building, and here we have a corner building, so I'll just have to make it work. I think that blue part could work next to the police station quite nicely. Now, the other current modular building in production that I do not own is the Natural History Museum. This is a big centerpiece building, but unfortunately I don't have any center positions available in my layout plan. And I really think that this building would be on its best if it's displayed without any other buildings on either side of it. Of course, this has smooth side walls, so it is designed to go next to other modular buildings, but so far I haven't seen an image of a perfect fit. Now, one option to place this would be to place it next to the Tudor corner and use the stairs of the Tudor corner to create a bit of separation. There is actually an image of this placement on the official Lego website. And I kind of like this. I think the Natural History Museum could go next to the Tudor corner. The only potential issue here is that there is a balcony on the third floor of the Tudor corner. And perhaps the Natural History Museum is too tall, because it partly blocks that balcony. So perhaps I should place something with less height next to the Tudor corner, like that jazz club that you can see in that image. The lower pizzeria section could work nicely next to the Tudor corner balcony. But I'm not sure. The Natural History Museum is also placed on that side of the Tudor corner on the box image too. So at this point, I'm just going to assume that it is going to work. Of course, I can do some changes later on. I don't have to commit to the plan at this point. But for now, let's place the Tudor corner and the Natural History Museum to the layout plan. Like this. Of course, it is pretty hard to say from this model if the buildings are actually going to fit next to each other. This is more about the general shape of the layout than how the exact buildings fit next to each other. Of course, there are still some buildings missing on this side of the layout plan. And that layout plan is currently missing one modular building that I own, and it is the Sanctum Sanctorum. Of course, I need to have that in. Because of its unique shape, the Sanctum Sanctorum isn't really a corner building. I think that it is more like some sort of a end of a line straight building. And that is why I built the scale model like this. And finally, we need a custom half modular building to complete the layout. And now that those are in, the layout plan is complete. And of course, on top of all of those buildings, we're gonna get the extended town square and perhaps some park areas inside these blocks. I think some tall trees might work there, so that they are poking slightly above the roofs of the buildings. And I also think that this layout is somewhat realistic too. We could assume that there is an additional row of buildings that would complete those blocks, but those just happen to be outside the boundaries of this Lego City layout. With those imaginary buildings added in there, these blocks could look like these famous blocks in Barcelona. But I don't think that I would ever add those missing buildings in there, because that would mean that those would be displayed with the backsides towards the viewer. But like I mentioned, we can assume that the buildings are there, but they are just outside the boundaries of this Lego display. Of course, I have no idea if all this is going to actually work. I really don't have enough buildings to test this properly. But I can test build one of those blocks, just not with the correct buildings. And the end result would be something like this. And of course, there would be a similar block on the other side of this town hall. Now, the only buildings that are correctly placed on this block are the police station and the extended hotel. On this side, we could have the Parisian restaurant with the apartment building of the bookshop. And this corner would be replaced by the Tudor corner, and the assembly square would be replaced by the Natural History Museum. But the overall shape would definitely be something like this. Now that is quite a big expansion, and that also means quite a lot of new buildings. On top of the two buildings that I already own, the Jazz Club and the Sanctum Sanctorum, the plan also includes the Tudor Corner, the Natural History Museum, the Parisian restaurant, a custom half modular, and a custom corner building that completes the assembly square. That is a pretty good expansion on top of the existing layout. And as I currently only buy 1 or 2 modular buildings per year, that is several years worth of buildings for me. And of course, during that time, new modular buildings will be released and those might affect the plan. But at least for now, I have some sort of a plan how to continue expanding my Lego town. And that is exciting. Now, the only question remains where to start that expansion. I think that out of all the ideas that I discussed in this video, the custom corner building that completes the assembly square is the most interesting one for me. So, perhaps that will be the starting point. Perhaps it will be something else. I really don't know at this point. But whatever it may be, it will be covered in the next video. If you want to get a notification as soon as that video is up, you should consider hitting that subscribe button down there. I will upload the next video ASAP, but remember, when a Sloth says that, it means as slowly as possible. Bye bye.